ballet majors in InterVarsity. I'm also studying psychology, but basically coming to Utah for me was kind of like super random. I'm from Texas originally, so when I would tell people like, yeah, I'm going to University of Utah, they were like, what? But as you guys know, they have a great ballet program here, so I was like, okay, I'm going to Utah, like gonna go study ballet, I want to be a professional dancer. And I'd had that planned out since I was literally 6 years old, like my first ballet class ever. I was like, this is what I want to do. And I grew up Christian, but I really loved Jesus. I had like a really strong faith, but I didn't really have a great relationship with community. I had some really hard experiences in my very first church growing up, and my parents just kind of like didn't really want us to get involved in churches after that. But I made some really amazing friends my senior year of high school that showed me like, okay, I do want Christian friends. I do want community. So coming out here, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get involved in something. Got involved in InterVarsity like really quickly, did kind of all the right things. It was a lot like Claire, like I was like doing all the right steps because I knew how to be like the perfect Christian. And I didn't know like how much God was gonna use this community to really like change my life and change the trajectory of my life. And like I said, like I had a plan for my life, and Utah was just like a tool to get me there. It was like in and out for me. But fast forward to junior year, I felt a call to ministry at FallCon, and I was like, okay, we're saying yes to this. It'd been kind of brewing in my life for a while, and I'd been saying no and processing it a lot, but I finally said yes. But then it became this whole tension in my life where I was like, okay, I still feel called to complete the ballet major, but I'm not going to do that professionally, and I'm in fact not really going to do anything with that after college. And I honestly like got pretty depressed junior year, like after I said yes to ministry. It was really hard. I was like confused because I was like, I love leading Bible study, I love doing these things, but going to classes is really hard. It just feels like a waste. Like, why am I getting this degree? Why am I doing this? Why is God calling me to this? Yeah, it felt really hard. But God ended up really restoring my relationship to dance, and showing me that like, hey, it might seem like a waste, but like the woman with the alabaster jar, like it's beautiful to me, and it doesn't matter what other people say or think about like what you're studying, what you're doing. Yeah, and I'm so glad I followed him and said yes to like continuing in the major and following him into ministry, because this year I had the chance to choreograph a dance that like went on the stage and expressed my faith. But it wasn't just about like showing it on stage and like getting to see that process. I actually got to see like one of my cast members encounter Jesus and encounter the Holy Spirit for the very first time in a rehearsal space. She was crying, and I was like, okay, God, like you're doing something here. You're doing something through my yes to like continue in my major and my yes to like do ministry all at the same time. And now that very same girl is following Jesus. And yeah, I just like never expected that. Like if I stayed in my major and followed Jesus through that he was gonna move in that way. So I think the two things I would encourage you guys to do is like allow God to transform your life and transform your goals for your life. He might call you to the same thing that you've been pursuing. That's awesome. But maybe he has something different for you. So like hold it loosely and really take it to him and say like, what do you have for my life? And then second, if you're confused about where you are, like stay faithful in the place that you're at right now, the place where God has called you, whether that's your major or your job or just like a friend group. Just like keep following him in that place, because he can use that really powerfully, even if it feels like confusing and wasteful to be there. Yeah, because I think Jesus will call it beautiful if you worship him where you're at. So yeah, I'm really grateful for this community and for you guys, and that's all. Thanks, guys.
I love that story of following Jesus through a degree path, because I think sometimes we separate those things. We see like, I'm a Christian and a college student, and those are kind of two separate zones. But what I love about Abby's story, and honestly so many of your stories in this room, is you've let your faith come into your degree, come into your studies, come into your relationships with your peers. And I encourage you to keep doing that. Let your relationship with Jesus, as some of these guys have already said, like be a light when you go to class and when you work on group projects and when you choreograph a dance. So we just have one more, so we're going to close out the night inviting Austin Eames to come on.